everyone. Okay, so this video right here is probably going to be a little bit controversial, and I probably should say I'm sorry, but I'm really not, because the truth needs to be out there. But anyway, trigger warning, because I do use the word whore in this video and a couple of times, and I will say this now, and I will say this later on in there, that I personally do not see women as whores. Just putting that out there. And I am one that literally has no problem with streetwalkers or anything like that. Like, that's none of my business. I have no issue with it. And I personally would never call a woman, or a girl for that matter, a whore or anything related to that. But that word is mentioned in here. But I also give the explanation of where that word originated from, because society turned it into a quote-unquote bad word. So this video is going to be about Lilith, the original woman, and how to reclaim the wild, instinctual nature of woman. In the wild of the jungle, there is an intoxicating romance exploding before our very eyes. It is a dance of life herself, a harmonious orchestration of exquisitely abundant seeds bursting open from their depths, sourcing from the soil, and rising up to meet the warmth of the sun, adorning the world in an infinite variety of fragrances, textures, tastes, and sounds, feeding the bodies and souls of all life on our planet Earth. There is an innate intelligence in the wild that can never be replicated, no matter how many have tried. It is life unconcerned with options, outcomes, projections, judgments, or any of the mental constructs that rule our world today. Nature is guided by a deep desire, a deep love, a deep yearning to realize its true nature through its expression. The wild is the physical manifestation of freedom itself. When a woman has remembered and reclaimed this inner wild, you feel it. You sense her aura. She carries a quality of unpredictability, and this wildness stirs both fear and awe. She is guided by a force so deep that it requires plunging into the darkest human fears to access, and there she has discovered the love that liberates all fear in its truth. She is the most desired woman on this planet, and yet she is also the most demonized. She incites the projections and aversions of our very fear of the wild, of our very fear of life. In ancient tantric traditions, this feminine essence is called Shakti, goddess, the power that animates all of existence. And today, many feminist storytellers have rewoven our original creation story to help us reclaim her through an original woman who predates Eve. She is known as Lilith. First appearing in Sumerian legends as a goddess and eventually a demon causing chaos, death, and evil in the world, Lilith embodies the darker nature of the feminine. Many women are beginning to awaken to the power hidden within their dark nature. Embracing their inner Lilith is essential on the path of becoming whole. There are two tales of the creation of women in Genesis. The first being that man and woman was created together as equals. The second describing women or woman as being created by God only after man, plants, and animals, and that she was born out of Adam's rib. To reconcile this disparity, Jewish retelling called the first woman Lilith and the second woman Eve. From this moment, we can already recognize the way that a woman's nature has been split into light and dark, good and evil, holy or demonic, their power separated from their purity. This separation is sometimes described as the Red River and the White River. Red River gives passion, deep pleasure, and transformational powers. The White River gives purity, innocence, and surrender. You come into your wholeness as women when you equally embrace the red and the white rivers, swirling them together into a pool of pink, the color of rose quartz, the feminine, and love. It is easy, especially for women, to see which river has been praised and which one has been demonized, and how the psyches have been in conflict between the virgin and the whore. Note, I am not calling any woman a whore. I am referring to society views of strong women, such as a woman who got a promotion must have slept with the boss, or a woman with a couple baby daddies must be sleeping around without knowing perhaps her first child's father passed in war, and now her new husband raises both of all the children. She may still be considered a whore per society. So, society view, when I use the word, not my view, just saying. The importance here is that the entire human experience needs to be experienced in order to truly love. In a world that has praised the virgin and demonized the whore, it's no wonder that many feel at odds with the wild pulse of life. Whether you view yourself as more virginal or more promiscuous, it is likely that at the root of this imbalance exists a deep need to more fully embrace Lilith. Perhaps you can recognize how the collective aversions to this primal essence that exists within everyone and keeps you imprisoned by reacting to the wild feminine or repressing her altogether. In repression, you may feel smaller, less powerful, less radiant in your womanhood. By not allowing yourself to express the fire of your sexual essence, hiding away in the white river of Eve, you may shrink, hide, quiet yourself, try to be agreeable, and conform yourself to the other in order to be received. On the other extreme, perhaps you have acted out of the red river, the Lilith energy, that you haven't known how to embrace more deeply within you, leading with sexual edge, becoming a temptress to men, hoping that the masculine energy outside of you can somehow validate the deep feminine longing you have not yet embraced within. You may attempt to dominate, control, rebel, and reject the other before you can be rejected. According to many Jewish retellings that come after Genesis, legend goes that Adam demands Lilith be subservient to him and lie beneath him during lovemaking. Refusing to be subservient to Adam and claiming her right as an equal, Lilith is apparently cast out of the garden and a new woman is born to serve man, which is Eve. At a time of evolution when the divine feminine is rising and we are learning to bow our minds to our hearts, our egos to our souls, and our human agendas to the wisdom of the earth, this story can offer a clue into how we come out of balance, how we as humans began to move outside of nature, how we lost our way. If we look at the roots of creation itself, we know that everything is born from the void. The void is a space of death, the womb of the cosmic mother, the womb of the earth mother, and the womb within every woman's body. This dark void space has long been expressed as the quality of yin, the feminine. Light, the masculine, yang, emerges out of the feminine. It is no coincidence that the word whore actually came from whore, spelled H-O-R, which originally meant cave, or it meant womb. When you deny the power of the feminine as a creative source of life, you also demonize the womb priestess as an unholy, ungodly whore. Lilith offers a powerful gateway back home to the wild, the opportunity to live in harmony as a whole. Our own arrogance and misunderstanding that we are here to dominate the earth, to rape the earth, can be seen through the eyes of Adam, demanding he be on top of Lilith. Lilith, knowing the masculine is here to support the feminine, that the individual is here to serve the whole, that the ego is here to bow to the soul, that man comes from the womb, refuses. When she is cast out of the garden, she is also claiming her independence and her unwillingness to live under this oppression that has taken over the world. Lilith may leave the shackles of patriarchy and become depicted as a demon, but she also returns to offer her red thread back to Eve. When Eve arrives in the garden with Adam, representing the white thread of innocence, she is visited by a serpent. Many mythological tales describe this serpent to be Lilith herself, as the deep feminine has long been associated with the snake. In Tantra, this snake lives at the base of the spine, dormant, asleep, waiting to be activated through sexual desire so that it may rise up through our energy centers, clearing stagnation, restoring vital life force, and ultimately reuniting with Shiva, the masculine, at the crown of our heads. As the red river within a woman became deeply shamed and taboo, Lilith came to separate aspect of consciousness that would one day have to be reclaimed, while the outer voice of authority, so-called God, tells Eve never to eat the forbidden fruit. The snake, Shakti, the wild goddess, she who is, encourages it. Life cannot flourish without our sexuality, and Eve eating the apple as a yes to the wild, creative dance of life that demands our primal participation. The garden can also be seen as the wild abundance of the flesh, of the body, the forbidden fruit symbolic of the womb, and the snake as the inner voice of primal life tempting Eve to feast on the truth that God is within her, has never left her, and is her very source. While we have been taught to seek and exploit power externally, embracing the inner Lilith and inner Shakti is the only true self-empowerment in existence. To truly let the feminine rise, you must dive deep into the source of your authentic power, the wild essence of pure life, and allow her to empower all that you do. Many men and women are not yet ready to receive the feminine in this wild, free, undomesticated way. Too many Lilith is dangerous, because when a woman knows the voice of truth that lives within her flesh and bones, when a woman bows to her own inner authority above any outer authority, she cannot be controlled. Like the wild, she cannot be tamed, and through embodying her full expression in her presence, it is inevitable that aspects of egos will die. Lilith asks all to choose our self-sovereignty, even when at times we may be cast out, shamed, demonized, and left to be on our own. Lilith reminds us that no outer reward is worth sacrificing, the voice of the soul within. No man, no God, no garden is worth abandoning the very source of life and love within each and every one of us, men and women alike. Furthermore, we must become the healthy atoms that help hold and uplift our reintegrated Liliths and Eves. We must become the devoted presence that holds our fierce passion and our gentle tenderness with equanimity. We must become that so we can be met in that. We must embody it so that we resonate it within ourselves of our beings and recognize it when it arrives. Lilith asks us to raise the standard, to demand that we be met by our lovers, mothers and fathers, our sisters and brothers, by our world, by ourselves, by our own minds, with a newfound appreciation for the dynamic spark of life. Lilith demands that we devote ourselves first and foremost to the very essence within that has been born from our own dark void, the essential seedling that will one day blossom up by the deep soil and offer itself as a melody in the harmony of our exquisitely diverse world. As a woman, reclaiming your inner Lilith makes you whole. As for the men in your life, those who wish for you to remain as Eve are simply standing in your way to be your true, complete self. As men, we need to empower the women around us so that they can be equal and no longer viewed as objects beneath us. We all need to embrace the inner Lilith and normalize all she represents and stop demonizing women as they grow into their full potential. Have a good day, everybody.